Hello and welcome to iQUANTA's channel dedicated to your success as a B School aspirant. And of course, yes, we talk a lot about the CAT exam. And why not? After all, that is the premier exam that a lot of us prepare for. That said, it does not make any of these other exams less important for your career. And I very strongly urge everybody that if you are preparing for the CAT, please make sure that you write as many exams as you can with that same set of preparation, and one of those exams is going to be SNAP. So in case you haven't heard about it and you want to ask this core question, what exactly is SNAP, what is this all about, then well, here is the answer for you. SNAP is Symbiosis National Aptitude Test. So it is an entrance exam like the CAT, but it is for the MBA programs at Symbiosis International University. So just like the CAT, this is also a computer-based test that happens across the country. And if you do write this, you can gain entry, gain access to quite a few of these Symbiosis clan of colleges. So which colleges, you ask? Well, one of the top few colleges that a lot of us target happens to be SIBM. Particularly its Pune campus is regarded very highly. Then another excellent college that you can go ahead and take a shot at is SCMHRD. Then you have this college that offers a specialization, right? SIIB. Then there is a sector specific college called SIDTM. So that takes you into the world of telecom management. And then they also have SIMS, and that's not all. There are more colleges that you can take a shot at with the help of the SNAP score. These are just some of them. You can go ahead, visit our website where you'd find a more detailed list of even more colleges that you can take a shot at through SNAP. And therefore, that is why I'm saying that it is an exam that you should definitely try and target. Okay, now what are the important dates? So first up, obviously, the date of the exam. So I am recording it in 2024, and this year, this exam is going to be conducted thrice. They have been following this pattern for quite a while. So this year the dates are 8th of December, 15th of December, and 21st of December. And in case you're wondering which of the three should I write, should I go ahead and write all the three? It's entirely up to you. You can sit for it up to 3 times, and they are going to consider the score of the best of the 3 exams. And that, at least I believe, minimizes the impact of just one particular day. ना होता है ना कभी कभी यार एक दिन हुआ वो दिन शायद उतना अच्छा नहीं गया. So it at least creates those opportunities, although personally I would prefer if these exams also happen at a sizable interval instead of an interval of just a week. So maybe that's something for them to consider. So that's the date, and the result is going to be announced on the 8th of January 25. Okay, then paper pattern. So this particular exam is the shortest Indian B School exam that you would appear for, where you need to focus for only 60 minutes. And that's it. It is 60 minutes and you're done. In these 60 minutes, you are supposed to answer 60 questions. And the marking scheme is they give you +1 for every right and they deduct 1/4 of that for every wrong, which means that this exam is going to be a 60-mark exam. And in case you're curious about a good score, well, then you know that it depends on the difficulty level of the paper, and a good score will keep on varying. But last year, somebody who scored around 42 marks would have received approximately 98 percentile, which is about the cutoff for the SIBM Pune campus. So this is what you typically target. So this is a brief overview of the duration, number of questions and marking scheme, but what about the core substance? So this exam is divided across 3 sections. So there is a section that clubs together quantitative aptitude, data interpretation, and data sufficiency. So those of you who are not very strong at quant and you'd like, yeah, I would love to see a paper where quant is minimized. Well, Snap is that exam for you. Then there is a section on reasoning. They call it logical and analytical reasoning. And then there is a section on general English. But unlike the CAT exam, there is no sectional time limit. You can choose to spend your 60 minutes on whichever section you prefer. You can go through those sections in whichever order you prefer. So you can make it completely tailor-made for you. And not only that, there is no sectional cutoff either. So the Symbiosis clan of colleges are just going to look at your overall score. So you don't necessarily need to go ahead and perform well or reasonably well in each one of these three sections either. So beyond that, let's get into the sections. So Quant, DI and DS, this is a section that gets 20 questions. Now, what are the kind of areas that they get into when they talk about these 20 questions? So they'd ask you questions from arithmetic, modern math, geometry, algebra, numbers, and then of course a bit of DI. And if I take you through the pattern of last year in that is in Snap 2023, we had 7 questions from arithmetic. We had another 7 based on modern math. We had 3 questions from geometry. So if you total, that's basically 17 questions right there. Yeah, and there was only 1 question a piece from the other 3 categories. So I think if you are somebody who has prepared for the CAT exam, you are definitely going to be well prepared for the kind of quant and DI that you see in the Snap. That said, if you are somebody who neglected modern math during your CAT preparation, then that's one area that you would like to now focus on. Because the number of questions from modern math can at times be very high. Algebra does not end up getting as much focus in the Snap exam as it usually gets in the CAT. Now, so that's a brief overview of Quant, DI and DS for you. Then general English. So you get 15 questions from it. And these questions are going to be vocabulary based or grammar based, or there can be some questions that are based on figure of speech. So you get the drift. Do you see any notable omission here? Is there something that is missing? You bet yes, there is no reading comprehension. So for the last quite a few years, there have been no reading comprehension based questions being asked in the Snap. Yeah, there was a point of time in the past when they did ask it, but not for the last few years. So apart from that, can you see something else? Yes, there are times when they occasionally do throw in a multiple choice parajumble as well, but there's no certainty of it. So for example, if I talk about last year, we had 2 questions that were based on figure of speech. Then there were approximately 7 questions based on grammar, and the rest of the questions came from vocabulary, where they can test you on synonyms, antonyms, they can test you on idioms and proverbs, they can even test you on the differences between British English and American English. Okay, so be ready for those kind of things as well. And the questions across vocab and grammar can be error identification questions. They can also be created in the form of fill in the blanks. And in order to create some of these questions, they may also use poetry. So they may give you a poem and ask you for the part of speech of a particular word. So poems can at times be tricky, right? They may not follow the conventional arrangement of subject, verb, object. So you need to be in that sense better at it. This is one exam which has also asked us some very foundational grammar questions. Questions based on part of speech, questions based on type of sentence, questions based on the typical syntax used in the English language, right? So those kind of things. So make sure that you are ready for it. But the maximum number of questions in this particular exam are devoted to this section called analytical reasoning and logical reasoning. So they ask 25 questions from this particular area. So this is very clearly an exam where if you are strong at reasoning, you're likely to do exceedingly well. You can broadly divide all these reasoning questions into two broad categories: verbal reasoning and non-verbal reasoning. So within verbal reasoning, you can expect questions that are based on syllogisms, you can expect questions based on critical reasoning, and all these other types that you see here. Right? So you're talking about statement assumption, statement conclusion, course of action. Mind you, where did they go? All of these are essentially nothing but application of critical reasoning. And when you get into course of action, cause effect questions, you are basically moving into the domain of inductive reasoning and at times even GK. So that's a large chunk for you right there. So you should approximately expect half of the section, so around 12 to 13 questions, to come from verbal reasoning, and the remaining 12 to 13 questions will then come from non-verbal reasoning, which involves areas like circular arrangement, clocks, family tree, coding, decoding, blood relations, calendars, some miscellaneous questions here and there. So that's basically your analytical and logical reasoning section. Now, some of the key points that I want you to keep in mind is that, number one, it is going to be a relatively easy exam. Now, when I say relatively easy exam, I'm saying that if you are somebody who is preparing for the CAT or maybe even for the ZAT, you expect a certain level of difficulty from your questions. But when it comes to SNAP, I think on an average, you'd find the questions easier. It does not mean that every question is easy. Okay. There can be some questions which are difficult. So if I look at the last 3 years, there has been this one particular year when quantitative aptitude bit can be termed moderate and not out and out easy. Some of the English questions used across the last 3 years of SNAP have been quite tricky, quite challenging. Reasoning, on the other hand, if you've gone through the basics, you'd probably find those things easy. So not out and out easy, but on the whole, a relatively easier exam as compared to the CAT. Now, this is a speed-based exam. Now, my personal definition is, when I see the number of questions and the number of minutes, I determine whether it is a speed-based test or not. So if the number of minutes allotted to you are equal to or less than the number of questions, I consider it a speed-based exam. And in such exams, your question selection becomes really important, because, as I said, yes, it's a relatively easy exam, but it does not mean that every single question is going to be easy, right? So question selection, which is also intricately linked with your self-awareness, these things become very important. Then, so I'd suggest that you start working on the new areas, okay, in each one of these sections. So in general English, you have grammar, you have vocabulary. You need to work on it. Figure of speech. So make sure that you start working on those if you haven't already. Similarly, if you look at quant, I told you that there can be a higher emphasis on modern math. Make sure that you work on that. Within analytical reasoning and logical reasoning, there are quite a few areas that you may not have focused on if you are a CAT aspirant. So you need to now start doing that. So more conventional reasoning that has been asked over the decades in aptitude exams that you need to become good at. Additionally, please make sure that you write the mock exams, and in those mock exams, it's really very important that you learn to use a round-based strategy that is built around your strengths. Because if you do not do that, then you may not be able to maximize your score. So get going, go ahead, work on all of these things. Do let me know if you need help or inputs on any of the other things, and put them in the comments down below. We would love to hear from you and design something for you. And here is something that I want to leave you with. You are your only limit. So if you think you can do it, you can. If you think you can't, you can't. It's entirely up to you. So train yourself to be ridiculously positive, ridiculously optimistic, and think ridiculously big, because you are, after all, going to determine your limits. That's it from me for this particular video. I'll see you in the next one. Don't forget to like it, and yes, a subscribe to the channel is going to be absolutely wonderful. Take care. Have a great day ahead.